Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to our second shiur in this Beit Midrash Beit Midrash Torat Hanefesh of Magli Nefesh. Um, as we've said in previous opportunities, our, our our desire here is to try forming some kind of community, Magli Nefesh community, through this shiur and through other activities. So please feel free to take participate directly, indirectly, online, or at your own leisure. Okay, so today we're going to talk about a pretty surprising mitzvah. Not something we'd expect to be engraved on Luchot Abrit, maybe, but it is a very, very clear and undisputable mitzvah, and maybe it's even beyond the mitzvah. It's like a kind of fundamental um, life issue, especially in Sefer Dvarim, and especially in our Parashat Beit Hanan, and that is what I call the mitzvah of having a good life. And I'll explain. Often us being Jewish, observant Jews, willing and wishing to live a Jewish life and maintain some kind of Jewish culture, we find ourselves occupying a lot of our thoughts and time and energy in what we should be doing or what we should not be doing, what we should be saying or not saying, what should we be eating and not eating, and even what should we be feeling or thinking about ourselves, about someone else. Obviously, we all know that there are thoughts that are considered prohibited. We're not allowed to think negative things about someone else. We're not allowed to think negative things about Kadosh Baruch Hu. So even more so, we're not allowed to say negative things about someone else. And it just goes on and on. And as I say, that occupies an awful lot of our time and bandwidth when we, in terms of our Jewish spiritual existence. That's part and parcel of being Jewish. That's nothing new. But the thing is that not once does this reality kind of prevent or kind of challenge us in terms of what is actually all this about? Where's all this going? All this meticulous thought, energy, focus, albeit with its great significance. What's it all about? Now, this is a great philosophical, issue of philosophy. But what I'd like to try presenting in this view is one very clear direction that derives directly from the psukim of our parasha and neighboring parashot. And that is what I call this overriding kind of mitzvah of having a good life. That's what it's all about. And that is something very, very important. And why I claim this and why the importance, that's part of what I'd like to explore in this shiur. So I'll just share the sheet. Okay, so I'll just kind of skim through a few of the psukim in our parasha, in Parashat Beit Hanan, the second parasha in Sefer Dvarim, that state pretty clearly what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, what he is commanding us for, why he is commanding us. I can just say that an awful lot of the focus on this parasha and the following parashot are urging Am Yisrael to stick to the derech, to be loyal to the pathway that Moshe Rabeinu has brought to Am Yisrael, this being the generation of the children that are entering the promised land. And time again, Moshe Rabeinu is urging again and again, keep Yiddishkeit, do the mitzvot, preserve, learn the Torah, preserve the Jewish way. And why? What I've brought in front of you in this sheet is not so much the mitzvot themselves, but the reason and the justification. Each passage with its own flavor. So says the parasha, "Ve'atem advekim b'Hashem Elokechem chayim kulachem hayom." Those that are close to Hashem, chayim kulachem hayom. You are all living a life that is worthy of calling a life. Chayim kulachem hayom. And goes on the Torah to say, "Ushmartem v'asitem." כי היא חוכמתכם ובינתכם לעיני העמים אשר ישמעו את כל החוקים האלה ואמרו רק עם חכם ונבון הגוי הגדול הזה. You should observe and you should fulfill the word of Hashem, because this is greatness of wisdom to the eyes of the nations that will say, wow, what an incredible nation this is that has these fantastic rules. And goes on the Torah to say, ותחת כי אהב את אבותיך. Hashem loved your forefathers, your patriarchs. ויבחר בזרוע אחריו, להוריש גויים גדולים ועצומים ממך מפניך, להביאך, לתת לך את ארצם נחלה כיום הזה. הקדוש ברוך הוא loved our forefathers, and he is bringing you to his promised land, to give you the land of the great nations that were here before you. And here in פסוק מ', ושמרת את חוקיו ואת מצוותיו אשר אנוכי מצווך היום, אשר ייטב לך ולבניך אחריך, ולמען תאריך ימים על האדמה אשר השם אלוקיך נותן לך כל הימים. You should observe and fulfill the mitzvot. So למען ייטב לך, so you could have a good life, לך ולבניך אחריך, for yourselves and for your offspring. למען תאריך ימים, so you may have a long life. על האדמה אשר השם אלוקיך נותן לך כל הימים. So you may have a good long life, you and your offspring, for many years to come on the soil that has been promised to you by Hashem. And in a very, very similar fashion, the following chapter, פרק ה', פסוק כ"ט, ושמרתם לעשות כאשר ציווה השם אלוקיכם אתכם, לא תסור ימין ושמאל. Very, very rigid and strict. We need to be observant, לא לסור ימין ושמאל, not to turn to left or right, but to stay spot on the word and the way of Hashem. בכל הדרך אשר ציווה השם אלוקיכם אתכם תלכו, למען תחיון וטוב לכם וארכתם ימים בארץ אשר תירשון. Again, the Torah is saying you need to be very strict and very observant, but that is for what? למען תחיו, so that you will live, וטוב לכם, for your well-being. You will have a good life. וארכתם ימים, you will have a good long life. בארץ אשר תירשון, in the land you will inherit. So this is a very, very strong focus, and it goes on and on and on. And nearly every opportunity that the Torah, Moshe Rabeinu urges Am Yisrael to be observant and to be obedient towards the mitzvot, towards Hashem's rules, he cushions it and explains it with this kind of fashion. And again, the following chapter in פרק ו', וזאת המצווה והחוקים המשפטיים אשר ציווה השם אלוקיכם ללמד אתכם לעשות בארץ אשר אתם רואים שם לרשתה. Classic, these are the rules. Here come another set of rules of mitzvot or halachot, חוקים, משפטים, rules, laws. למען תירא את השם אלוקיך, so we will be fearful from Hashem and have respect to him and to his laws. על פסוק ג' ושמעת ישראל ושמעת לעשות אשר ייטב לך ואשר תרבון מאוד כאשר דיבר השם אלוקי אבותיך לך ארץ זבת חלב ודבש. So you may listen and be observant and be obedient and preserve Hashem's words. אשר ייטב לך, so you will have a good life, ותרבון מאוד, so you'll be prosperous, and you may be in here that there's an extra added feat, which is demographic growth. אשר תרבון מאוד, we grow greatly demographically. ארץ זבת חלב דבש, a land of milk and honey. And it just goes on and on. Again, פסוק י"ח, ועשית הישר והטוב, you should do the right and the just בעיני השם, למען ייטב לך, so that you will have a good life. ובאת וירשת את הארץ הטובה, and you will be able to inherit the good land that Hashem has promised to your forefathers. להדוף את כל אויביך מפניך. Here's another, a new extra issue, which is in terms of security, that Hashem will nullify our foes and defeat them. And it goes on in Perek Chet and Perek Yud Aleph. And this is something I must stop here for a minute. What I'm trying to establish here is that chapter after chapter, from Perek Hey, Vav, Chet, Yud Aleph, literally chapter after, barely a chapter goes by in Sefer Dvarim, where Moshe doesn't, on the one hand, urge Am Yisrael to live the Jewish life, and on the other hand, to accompany this urging, to supplement it and to cushion it with this extensive this extensive explanation, or the ultimate reason being our own good, our own good life, long life on the good land, on the promised land, on the soil that Hashem has promised our forefathers, a land of milk and honey, and so on and so forth. In a variation of the details may vary a bit, but the theme is very, very clear. And that is something that is undisputable. As I say, it's clear psukim in the Torah, and when you look at the commentators on the Chumash, some say, yeah, this is all part of the great plan. That when we'll have a good life, we'll be able to be more observant, and our Jewish existence will be stronger and more easy to carry out. But I think when you look clearly, in the kind of straight and directly into the psukim themselves, I think they state very, very clearly that this is an issue that stands on its own merit, not just so that we can be better Jews when we will have a good life, but leman tichyu, so that you will live, v'tov lechem, v'tov lecha, so you will live and have a good life, and you'll be well. Lecha u'zarecha acharecha, for yourself and for your offspring, arichot yamim, long life. That seems to be an issue that has its own merit, and not just serving as a cause to enable a better Jewish worship. Now, the simple question is, why? Why is this so important? Why is Moshe urging us again and again, and reminding us that this is all for your own good, this is all for your own sake, and I want you to have a good life. I'm Hashem's the agent here, telling you this very, very clear and very, very fundamental message of life. Why is that so central? I think the nature of a good question is that I once heard that a question mark is like a curly line, but when you pull it down, it becomes an exclamation mark. So the question is actually maybe answered by the exclamation, meaning our life has a tremendous value. Our life is so dear to God. Hashem loves us so much and our life is dear to him, and he esteems and values our life infinitely beyond what words can describe. And in some way, it can be simply claimed that all of these Jewish rules, mitzvot, halachot, all this urging for us to maintain a Jewish life, it's all because Hashem wants us to have a good life. That is the ends, the mitzvot being the means to this end. Hashem wants us to obey his laws because they are life-enhancing laws, life-enriching and life-protecting. And I often say this, that the prohibitions of the Torah are life-protecting. And the attributes, the mitzvot haseh, they are life enhancers. So life protectors and life enhancers, that's what it's all about. Because Hashem wants us to have a good life. Our life is dear, our life is valuable, our life has meaning. And because, as such, because our life is dear, is valuable, invaluable, then Hashem has given us these rules to protect our lives with all the prohibitions, not to do anything that will cross the lines, that crossing them will actually be harmful to our life in some way. And we have to kind of delve into each prohibition and understanding why eating non-kosher meat that may have blood elements is something that will actually be harmful to our life. It will ultimately be harmful to our life. And why not having why mixing milk and meat? That is actually harmful to our life. In what aspect exactly? That requires greater research. Each prohibition to its own issue, but that is the general kind of concept. Life protectors, and on the other hand, the mitzvot haseh, life enhancers, giving, injecting extra meaning, extra light, extra fulfillment, and qualities to our life. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And this has a very powerful message. This bears a powerful message to each and every one of us. That we should begin to get this and to actually believe this. I mean, it may sound nice, but it's a question how much we esteem ourselves. It's a question how much we esteem our lives. Often we don't think too much about ourselves. Often we don't think too much about our lives. You know, we often haste to belittle ourselves, belittle our aspirations and desires, and to belittle the ultimate value that we hold towards ourselves and to our lives. And here, in absolute in a very controversial manner, the Torah comes out very, very clearly. The same way Moshe Rabeinu was constantly urging us to keep Hashem's way. He is urging us that, and convincing us and reconvincing us that this is all about this is all about the value of our life, and that we should believe in that and bask in that. And I've brought, on the continuation of this sheet, a few short passages that kind of fortify this aspect, this kind of viewpoint. So says the Rambam, just for example, here the Rambam is talking about Chilul Shabbat for a Choleh shesh bo sakana, for someone who has got some immediate need, a medical condition that requires the violation of Shabbat. And the Rambam says that this should be done without any kind of hesitation, and it should be done by the great people, the great sages and the scholars. And so הלכות שבת, פרק ב' הלכה ג', כשעושים דברים האלו, he's talking about חילול שבת for חולה שיש פה סכנה, אין עושים אותם לא על ידי נוכרים, ולא על ידי קטנים, ולא על ידי עבדים, ולא על ידי נשים, כדי שלא תהיה שבת קלה בעיניהם, אלא על ידי גדולי ישראל וחכמיהם. On purpose, it should be the scholars and the great sages, that they are those that violate Shabbat for the sake of doing what is necessary for the needy in terms of medical conditions on Shabbat. ואסור להתמהמה בחילול שבת, לחולל שבת סכנה. We're not allowed to hesitate, we're not allowed to hold back. שנאמר, אשר יעשה אותם האדם וחי בהם. Torah says, you should keep the Torah, ואשר יעשה אותם האדם וחי בהם. We should live, ולא שימות בהם. And here the Rambam says, למדת שאין משפטי התורה נקמה בעולם, אלא רחמים וחסד ושלום בעולם. The Rambam says, we stand from this halakha, we derive from this halakha a philosophic overriding understanding that mishpatei Torah, the laws of the Torah, are not nikama ba'olam, they're not some kind of vengeance, fiendish vengeance, ela rachamim v'chesed v'shalom, mercy and peace and goodness. That's what it's about. The Rambam says this halacha lemaase in Hilchot Shabbat, that the Torah and its rules are all about mercy and peace and goodness. That's what it's all about. That all the rules, prohibitions, and the attributes, the mitzvot haseh, the mitzvot haseh, that's what it's all about. And again, this is because our lives are so dear, priceless, invaluable. And we learned that from another passage in the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin. It's actually a Mishnah. כל המאבד נפש אחת מישראל מעלה עליו הכתוב כאילו איבד עולם מלא. Anyone that violates a life, חס ושלום, a life, a Jewish life, כאילו איבד עולם מלא, lost an entire world, an entire universe. And on the other hand, כל המקיים נפש אחת מישראל, anyone that protects and saves one soul from Am Yisrael, מעלה עליו הכתוב כאילו קיים עולם מלא. Because every individual is a world in itself. Every life is a world in itself. And this again is reinforcing the value, the pricelessness of our lives. Irrelevant to what we achieve, irrelevant to what we think about ourselves and esteem ourselves. And it is worthy of these very, very fundamental issues to kind of help us build and rebuild and reinforce our approach of what we think about ourselves and how we esteem and value ourselves in our lives. And maybe to kind of to wrap it up, sorry. I've brought a few passages from Rabbi Kook, who really, really puts on the accelerator in this context. And Rabbi Kook says, "Ha'ish hamishtokek el tov Hashem." He who is deeply searching for Hashem's goodness. צריך להרגיש בעצמו איך שנשמתו היא תמצית גדולה של הוויה עליונה ומרוממה. Anyone who's got this inner soul searching desire to sense and to feel Hashem's greatness and to feel Hashem's what the word I'm looking for? Hashem's presence, maybe. How does one feel Hashem's presence? Says Rabbi Kook, by sensing how nishmato hi tamtzit shel havaya elyona, by sensing how my soul, my individual soul, is an essence of something divine. That is how you feel Hashem's presence. That's what Rabbi Kook says. You want to feel Hashem's presence, then realize that your soul is the essence of some divine presence. So Hashem is actually present in each and every one of our souls. That is how we can sense Hashem's presence in our lives. And what an incredible enhancement is that my life, I'm not just an individual. I bear with me something that is an essence of Hashem's presence, and that is what I bear with me, and that is actually my inner identity. And goes on, Rav Kook and says, "Ha'adam hayashar tzarich le'amin b'chayav." The just person needs to believe in his life. כלומר, שיאמין בחייו עצמו. We should believe in our life. והרגשותיו, our feelings. הבאות מטבע נפשו, our feelings that come from the natural movement of our spirit, of our soul. להאמין שהם טובים וישרים, to believe that our soul is a good one, a good and just one. שהם מוליכים אותו בדרך ישרה, that my soul, in some instinctive way, is leading me on a just path. האיש הישראלי צריך להאמין שנשמה אלוקית שרויה בקרבו. A Jewish Israeli person needs to believe that we have a godly soul living inside us. שכל עצמותו הוא אות אחת מן התורה. That this soul is one letter of the Torah. ואות מן התורה הוא עולם מלא. A letter of the Torah is the whole world in itself. And just one final sentence, here says Rabbi Kook, צריך לגאור גם בקטנות האמונה. צריך לגאור בקטנות האמונה. We should growl at those that have they fail to believe. They fail to have faith. גם בקטנות האמונה שלו בעצמו, במיעוט הכרת הסגולה הנשמתית שלו. So Rabbi Kook, the same way that we should growl and kind of be non-sympathetic towards those that have failure in having faith in Hashem, faith in their life, then we need to growl at those that fail to have faith in their own lives. Meaning, what is Rabbi Kook basically saying here? He's saying the same way we esteem Kadosh Baruch Hu with all his greatness, infinite greatness, then we should begin to esteem ourselves, because we have that divine presence living within ourselves. That is why our life is so dear. That is why all these mitzvot have been given to us. That is why Hashem, Moshe Rabeinu, is constantly urging us, do these mitzvot, obey this way, because these will enhance your life. These will protect your lives and prevent you from harm, because your life is olam maleh. It's a world in its own, and it's invaluable and there's something unique to each and every one, and a unique beauty, a unique value, and Hashem has a unique will and desire in the existence in each and every one of us, of Am Yisrael. And why am I stressing this so much? Because there are enough reasons in our lives to prevent us from believing any of this. And often our brain is transmitting the reverse message: that I'm a failure, I'm not worth anything. There are so many others that are better off than me, they're greater than me, they're more successful, more clever, more attractive, more beautiful, whatever, more righteous. And here comes the Torah and says, Leman tichyeh v'tov lecha. I want you to have a good life. Your life is valuable. And the object of the Torah in many ways is this good life. That is why I've given you mitzvah kibud avayim. That's why I've given you Shabbat. That's why I've given you kashrus. That's why I've given you this whole set of rules, both those that we understand more and or less. But that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And this, I think, is a very, very fundamental and important message to each and every one of us. We should esteem our life, and realize what immense value every minute of our life has. We bear this wonderful soul inside us, which has some of that godly magic about it, which is inseparable to our identity. That is actually, in effect, our inner identity. That is who we are. All the rest is kind of additives or paraphernalia. So that is a very, very basic, fundamental message that the Torah is trying to get across. And it's telling us that to the generation that is going into Eretz Yisrael, to those that are going to be the pioneers of the land, and go out and plow the fields and fought off all the enemies. And each and every one of us is listening to the Torah. And in some way, each and every one of us is a pioneer, fording off our own foes, plowing our fields, each their field of activity. And Liman Tichye Ve'arachta Yamim, have a good life, have a long life. And that's why we're Jewish. That's why all this meticulous day to day, what I should and shouldn't be doing, thinking, saying, eating, feeling, that's what it's all about. This Liman Tichye V'tov lech. So you should live and be well. So the Torah is there for our well-being. Moshe Rabeinu is there for well-being. So may we nurture this understanding and bask in it and enjoy it and enjoy our life and esteem and value ourselves, our lives, and Leman Tichye V'tov lech. May we live and be well. All the best.